VelociraptorTube, Felix here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Rant. Today I'm joined by Baseballlover and TheChudude. How are you guys doing?
Hi.
Okay, that's a rather standard intro, but let's get into the topics. So, last week the theme was the first week of the Giro Italia. I hope you already guessed this week's theme. It's going to be Giro Italia Week 2. So, let's quickly explain what happened in the Week 2. Ulissi really did well in the first mountain stage, where everyone thought the big fireworks were going to come, but they didn't really come. We saw Ulissi counter sprint, or he out-sprinted Kelderman, and Keselowski didn't really counter sprint, he just went heads on first. What do you guys think about that stage, where Ulissi won?
It's very stock standard. I mean, we saw Ulissi already do this in a couple of hilly stages leading up. He's kind of one of the guys that I thought at the start of the year, I thought he might do something in the hilly classics and maybe in one of the smaller stage races like a Tirreno, but he's really showed up here at the Giro and really stamped his authority on these stages, and he's done a bit of something like what Visconti did last year at the Giro, where taking those mountain sprints, and he's definitely one to look forward to. Unfortunately, he crashed it later on and lost a bit of time, but we can maybe look forward to him maybe being even a GC contender in the future.
He's an upcoming Kunego, in my opinion. Or at least when Kunego was good as a talent.
Kunego won the Giro when he was good, so...
Yeah, so we could see Ulissi do that at one point when Quintana is no longer here.
Yeah.
Or Pozzovivo.
Not this year.
But the very next stage, there was a breakaway stage. Peter Weening won that stage, and it's really been Orica's Giro d'Italia. Well, until today, when they lost another 2 guys, and they're now down to 3 guys. But, Baseballlover, what do you think about Orica Greenich's Giro d'Italia so far and Peter Weening's result?
I think it's, they're all doped. EPO, all up in this house. No, just kidding. You know, they've obviously been the most successful team, and now probably the most unfortunate team. I can't see them really doing much now that they only have 3 guys left. But in that first week and into the second week, they basically had everything going for them. I mean, Weening, you expected Malacarne to be able to pop him, but then Weening positioned himself correctly. He got him right where he wanted him and just popped off the wheel and sprung ahead. You know, they've gotten everything they really wanted out of the Giro already. I mean, you saw Matthews abandoning now. Basically, all their guys are abandoning except like Weening himself. But
he abandoned today too. Weening's gone.
He did. He did.
The rumors are okay. There's 3 guys left. There's Hepburn,
Santoromita.
Santoromita. Who's the 3rd guy? I don't remember. But the rumor is that Santoromita is going to be the only guy left into the 3rd week.
I could see that happening, definitely.
Hepburn crashed and is looking really bad. The other guy also crashed and has like a fractured finger or something like that, and they're looking at it, and he might also abandon. So it's looking to be a one-man team.
One-man army.
That would be, has that ever happened before? From what you guys can remember, like a one-man
team
in the Giro?
No, there's been the 0-man team in Grand Tours. Have you Festina?
It's different though, because that's doping-related cases. This is crashing out, like just being really lucky, then just being unlucky afterwards. But I guess
it's like they accomplished. I think they'll be okay with it though, because like basically they can't accomplish anything in the remaining Giro now. Yeah. But luckily they kind of accomplished everything they wanted already in the first week, so I think it'll be fine.
They'll do just okay. They'll want to save some energy for later on. What are you saying, TheChudude?
Yeah, like if you're going into the Giro and you told them you guys got the leader's jersey for the first whole week, you guys get a stage win from Michael Matthews and the stage win from Weening, they would have taken that any time. Like any team would have taken that success already, and anything after this is pretty much a bonus. But even though a lot of these guys are abandoning, you can sort of see that because they did so much work in that first week. Like they were at the front. Like there wasn't really any other team that helped them do the pacemaking until the last 10, 15 Ks. So you can see that the rider's starting to hurt now, and that's fair enough. I mean, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting watching the backstage passes when we've got one rider left.
The thing is, Santoromita doesn't even speak English that well. If you watch the backstage passes where he's in, he says 2 or 3 words and that's it. He doesn't even speak English that well. So
And he's on an Australian team.
exactly, it would be rather interesting. The very next stage though was a sprint stage, and it seems like Nasa Bohani's just taking everything. Viviani can't follow. He was in a terrible crash. We saw also what's his name, Giancarlo Ninsolo is just terrible at timing his sprint. He always goes first, and then Bohani goes around him and then wins the stage. So the big question is, are you guys getting tired of watching these sprint stages? Because they're basically just Bohani stages to win.
Yeah, even with someone like a Matthews going out as well, it doesn't help. Because on that sprint, Matthews is actually matched Buhani in speed, but he just didn't get into the right position. Like, I watched the replay again. Like, Buhani didn't really get off Matthews. He just was on Nizzolo's lead out pretty much and just got over the line. But yeah, I don't see anyone beating Buhani right now. I mean, there's no sprint stages left until Trieste, isn't there? I
believe so.
don't think there's. Yeah, I don't think there's any stages specifically for the sprinters. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm sure all the viewers are over the sprint stages there. Not the most entertaining.
Are we going to talk about it?
Ferrar's crash or what?
Yeah.
That was terrible.
I feel like Ferrar hasn't really been the same since, I think somebody said on Daily, he's scared of, like, sprinting.
Yeah, it seems like
and
never goes
it shakes him up so much, like the thought of like crashing, that he crashes because he's like so tense. And I kind of think I agree with that. Like, think about it, he kind of hasn't really been the same since Wouter Whalen died. Besides that one sprint where he got like the perfect lead out in the Tour.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But the thing is also, when he crashed in that sprint, he took Viviani down with him, and Viviani was looking so good. He was in 5th position, and Ferrar also, in that crash, Quintana was also involved. So Ferrar is not only a danger for himself, but he's also a danger for other people in the peloton. So he should go and get some counseling, don't you think?
I mean, he crashed.
Really rough.
He said that the person in front of them touched their brakes, and he didn't.
You would also do that. You would always excuse yourself if you were caught.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's really an excuse. I think because think about it, he should have braked. So he's still owning up to it. It's his fault. But I mean, it's if you look at the crash, it looks exactly like that's what happened. The person in front of him slowed down to take the corner. He didn't slow down enough. He tipped the wheel.
Yeah.
I also think that people are not giving enough credit to what sprinters do. I mean, they're going at like 60, 70 k's an hour, making their wheels are centimeters off from each other, about to crash, and people don't know how scary that really is unless you're like a rider. Like I've seen heaps of riders complain about, sprinters. Why don't mountain guys have the same amount of danger and all that stuff? Because sprinting is really dangerous, and you can actually see how someone like a Ferrar, like a bit older in age than the rest of the sprinters, might not feel safer or might not have the guts to actually go all out in the sprint, and that's very foreseeable.
On the Buhani note, it's kind of like he's won this because only of Kittel. That's basically it, and you got to think if Kittel was here, he wouldn't be losing these kind of stages to Buhani. Buhani's getting these stages because, he's in the front. He's also, remember Greipel was talking about all the FDJ guys.
Yeah.
He's kind of a little aggressive, and he's a little bit of a punk. And this goes on to what we're going to talk about, like Stage 13.
Well, we can jump to it right now. Stage 13, none of the sprint teams wanted to work together with FDJ, and FDJ wasn't really ready for that. Like, Bohani was sitting in the front, waving all his teammates to the front, but they didn't want to go to the front for some reason, and therefore they never caught the breakaway. Bohani came out with a statement afterwards that I know you read, Baseballlover. Could you give a quick summary of it?
So basically, he said that he was frustrated that the other teams did not pace to get the break back. But that's really, really just stupid of him to say, because he was the obvious favorite and he won the bunch sprint. So did he just expect them to pace for him? I mean, this is not the way it works. He was the main favorite. He had won the other sprint stages beforehand, and he's got to accept then that he's going to be, marked, and nobody's going to want to pace for him. It's up to FDJ to be able to reel in the break, and they couldn't, and he's got to get over it.
Why does he even
And
complain? He's got 3 stages already. Just take
Because
it as
he's
a
a little
man.
punk.
What do you
He's a
think,
little-
TheChudude?
yeah, like none of the other sprinters were, other than them, like most of the other sprinters were banged up. They were probably not in the best position as well, and probably wasn't seeing their day. Probably having a bad day with all the weather and things like that. So you can see the other teams weren't pacing. No one really wanted to pace. It was just one of those cold, miserable day, and you just don't want to do anything, I guess. And Buhani, he's a bit of a prick. I don't like him either.
Yeah, he says his opinion without really thinking about what he's saying. So that's the kind of
He's
guy he is.
he's like the polar opposite of Faraz. So Faraz is laid back, sits back, and I think Buhani is just the ultra aggressive guy. I've seen some of his sprints. He was like so close to crashing to
He's
the wall. He's
borderline
taking all
raping
these.
everybody else's bike. It's like,
He's taking all these crazy risks. Like, I just don't like him.
Yeah, that's his mentality though, and to be fair, he is. Or in the words of FR, you can, if you're following the World Cup, you can do whatever the sport allows you to do, and when he
You
doesn't
can
crash, you
take
can take
any
risks.
advantage of the game.
Yes, exactly. So he can take any advantages the sport gives to him, and technically he's allowed to take those risks as long as he doesn't crash, and he didn't crash, so he's allowed to do it. But on to we skipped a couple of stages. A very important stage, because think of Saxon Bank won it, was stage 11, where Mick Rogers finally awoke from the death, and he won the stage from a really far breakaway. He attacked with 20 kilometers to go when the peloton wasn't awake, and he won by 20 seconds on the peloton. And the funny thing is, if you all watched the pre-meeting that the Global Cycling Network, they did a video on the pre-meeting of that stage, Michael Rogers even said, "Today is the day I come back to this Giro d'Italia," and he won the stage. So, what do you guys think about Michael Rogers? Do you think he was, honestly, do you think he's still a GC contender, or do you think he's more of a breakaway hunter?
He's not a JC contender. He's a bit up in the age. You know, he's the best of him is gone. He's never been a JC contender really. He's been that like right hand man, that best domestique guy, and his experiences this. He's probably one of the smartest guys in the peloton. Like, he just knows a lot about how the race is going to turn out, and that move there was perfect because we saw in the pre-race meeting they weren't going for Rogers that stage. That attack from Rogers was all, I think, instinct and just experience on what he thought the other guys were going to feel like. And I think also what helped was that since he's been out for doping, or it wasn't doping, and I think the rest of the guys kind of gave him a bit of leeway. Like BMC weren't pacing to chase him down; they pretty much just sat up when Rogers got away. So Cadell Evans probably gave him a hand on winning that stage as well.
He doesn't really care that much either. Oh, I'm just noticing now that you guys will only be able, I'm sorry guys, but the video will be kind of corrupt. The video you'll only be seeing like 1/4 of the screen, but you guys can live with that. You can listen to this video, and you can see 1/4 of the screen. So I hope you guys won't mind. You'll see the head of the race, you just won't see all the GUI, like the stage profile and the rider stats, but you guys won't mind, I hope. You just listen to the awesome commentary, minimize the screen, and just keep listening. If you're listening to SoundCloud, don't mind whatever I just said. But yeah, Rogers is a hell of a guy, and he won that stage. So, but the last stage I really want to talk about, the Giro d'Italia, was the time trial, where I know that Baseball Lover says that time trials are really, really boring. Well, I want to say that has to be the most exciting time trial I've ever seen. The start of the stage, it was thundering, it was windy, it was rain. Guys like Svein Tuft and Adroni Mallory, these guys were supposed to do good in today's stage. They couldn't do anything because the conditions weren't in their favor. Then we got into the later in the stages, and then Diego Lisi, and then Kelderman, and then all these guys went, and the conditions went in their favor. So it was the big GC guys really thinking they had a chance to go for it, and therefore we saw big time gaps. And it was really interesting because everybody was fighting to do something in today's stage, and Ron beat everyone by a minute. I want to hear you, Baseball Lover. What do you think about Iran's climbing ability? Did Iran lose some of that climbing ability to gain some more time trial ability? Because we saw on today's stage that he lost a lot of time.
I don't think you can like specifically do that unless you're Bradley Wiggins. But you know, maybe he certainly dug a little deep there, and you know that can really hurt you. A time trial, you're all alone. He probably dug really deep. He won it. I mean, he's not that good of a time trialist, so. You know, that really shows how much you must have given. And then you pair that with the fact that you had one flat stage, but you know, it's not like PCM where you can just recover by sitting back there. Yeah, you can recover a little bit, but it's still a day of racing, and it's not a rest day. So he's probably still pretty tired. And then, in today's stage, or yesterday's stage if you're listening, he cracked. I mean, he was probably just a little bit of his reserves had been gone from that time trial, and that's the difference in the final K of a mountaintop finish.
I agree. Ron really looked strong, but in that stage he didn't. What do you think, Jude?
Yeah, I agree with baseball. A lot of people undermine like the efforts you make on the previous day, and everyone thinks, oh, you can attack yesterday and you'll be all good for the next day because you got the night to sleep it off. And it's not really the case. You will really feel your legs the next day after a time trial like that. And around, I don't know if he's after that time trial. I suddenly thought, oh, he's got this Giro in the bag. I don't see him losing from there. And looking at today's stage was very interesting. He didn't lose a lot of time. I mean, it's 20 seconds.
Yeah.
He's still got three minutes on Quintana, but the last week is brutal. It's just mountains, and I think Quintana can bounce back. I think it was just a bad day on the road, and he's definitely still, I think, for me, right up there with the favourites against Quintana, I think. And
Let me hear some
that
podium
stage,
predictions, though. I want to hear some podium
Yeah.
predictions. What do you think? Who do you think top 3? Let me hear that.
I still think Quintana's Rant's going to get this. I think he's just got enough of the lead. 3 minutes, it's a lot. It can go in one stage really. If Quintana just goes crazy and Iran has a bad day, 3 minutes could be wiped away. But I think Iran, he's done this before. He's had the Giro last year. He's generally comes good in the last week. So I think Iran holds on to this, even though Quintana's just
Who do you think is going to get second and third, then? You have Iran for first place. Who's going to get second and third, and why?
Probably Quintana second. He's definitely going to be really strong, and third's wide open. I think it could be up to the guys like Evans, Aru, Posivivo. I think Posivivo will get third. Actually, looking at today's form, yeah.
What do you think, Baseball Lover?
After today, I mean, we know that Nairo wasn't feeling too well, but I think that he's definitely going to recover, and I think that Iran's just going to keep slipping back. However, you look at Quintana, he's lost almost a minute to Pozzovivo, and Pozzovivo's been right there with him. I mean, we saw in this climb that Pozzovivo did a lot more of the pacing, so it wasn't a surprise that that Quintana gained a few seconds. I don't know. I think that Pozzovivo looks really, really good right now. So, for my podium, I'm going to go with Quintana winning it. Just barely over Pozzovivo. That could even be switched. I think that Pozzovivo could win this Giro if it goes as it is. So those two, I think, are top 2. And then it's kind of a scrap heap. If it goes with Uran, with him being able to keep his form, I mean, he has a good time gap on everyone. So he could definitely hold on for third, I think. Evans, I don't know. I mean, he didn't look too good today, but Uran looked worse today. He got dropped in the initial accelerations, made his way back up when they waited for poles. I don't really know. Rafael Micah's still sitting there pretty well. Wilco Kelderman, I still think that Kelderman, Aru, Micah, those young guys might fade in the third week. So, I don't know. I'd probably give the edge to Iran, but there's a bunch of guys that can still do something.
Okay.
It's wide open.
Yeah, it's wide open. But I personally, myself, I want to say that Pozzovivo's going to win just because his team is stronger than Quintana.
True.
Goes into the Giro d'Italia with a stronger team than Movistar's bringing. We've seen that so far in the mountains. Quintana's already isolated when the final mountain starts, but we still have Villamoy and we have Dupont, we have Gadre. No, it's not Gadre. I don't know who it is.
That other guy. What was his name? Dumont or something?
I'm not sure, but 82R always have 3 guys left, plus Pozzovivo, so that's why the reason I said that Pozzovivo's going to win this. I said Quintana's going to get second place. He's going to have a lot of time to make up, but I think he can do it. Him and Pozzovivo looks like they're going to be dominating in the mountains, but I give the edge to Pozzovivo. And for third place, I want to say Rafael Micah. Rafael Micah is looking really strong. He put in one hell of a time trial the other day on a flat road, and I think he can put a good one in on the mountain as well. And also, his positioning on the mountains, they're just superb. Today he got dropped because he didn't follow the initial attacks, but if he would have followed the initial attacks, he would have exploded like Kelderman did. Kelderman tried to follow him, and he just exploded in the end, and Arun and Micah both caught up to him, so that's why I'm saying Micah. But
Fair enough.
I think they're all good bets. I want to say all three of our predictions. It can go either way. It's if another crash comes, if the weather turns around again, another crash comes. Who knows? But I think that's enough Show Italia this week. Another race has been going on that we just touched about last week, but we want to finish it this week because we have a nice interview with Jens Vogt we want to discuss. But it's the Tour of California. The final two stages were kind of interesting. We saw Peter Sagan pulling in the stage where he won it, but the big headlight in that stage was Teruel, who celebrated with 4 kilometers to go. The video got 500,000 views on the Cycling Hub, but it also got shut down. But what do you guys think about these sort of clown acts like Teruel, when he celebrated with 3 kilometers to go? Do you think that's good for the sport? Or is it bad for the sport? Or does that not have an impact at all?
I think it's just funny. I don't think it's good for the sport or bad for the sport. I think it's just the guy. It's the guy himself. Just he's got to be really embarrassed, and I mean, it's not like we haven't seen it before. We have, but not really recently. And it's still kind of funny when guys celebrate and they're not winning. It's ever since the Zabel Ferrari situation, and we've seen other ones, Brockovich at Lombardia. So we've had some pretty funny ones. Betancourt, remember that in the Giro last year?
It's always fun.
It's always funny when something like that happens. I don't think it really that much affects the sport, except for like newcomers maybe.
What do you think,
Hey,
TheChudude?
bring in the race radius, that wouldn't happen, eh? That might be a good argument for that. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's just racing, really. Nothing much to talk about there, I
The
think.
commentator was screaming, "No, no, 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 no! You haven't won yet!" And the guy couldn't.
No, no,
understand
no,
him.
no, 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 no,
But
no,
the
no.
funny thing is,
I don't-
Oh, yeah?
I think it's weird because people are like, he obviously doesn't speak English, but it's like, doesn't he? Isn't he like Spanish?
Yeah, he's Spanish.
No is no in Spanish too. So
Yeah, I don't know, but he just messed up. But the thing is, actually, there's no such thing as bad PR. Like, people know his name. It doesn't matter if they know him for doping
Exactly.
or for celebrating too early. They know his name. I went on Pro Cycling Stats the day after, and I saw that his page got like 500 views extra than he normally does. It was right up there with most amount of views for the day. So now he is known as the guy who celebrated too early, but at least he's known. There are other people who are not known for anything.
Exactly.
So
you wouldn't have heard of him otherwise.
exactly. So I think it's good for the sport, because then people are like, "Oh, cycling, that's funny things. Funny. We love these funny clips. That's why we're gonna go watch him, and that's why we like the sport, because it gives funny clips." Very exciting. And the very final stage of the Tour of California was won by Mark Cavendish. And once again, we almost saw the Teruel case happening, because Cavendish celebrated, but Degenkolb lost by an inch. Like, he lost by nothing. And once again, they blamed the camera, the on-bike camera, once again. So, you guys think they will ever stop blaming the cameras when Degenkolb loses? Because, like, Kittel is going to go to the Tour, he's going to bring the on-race camera, or the on-bike camera, and when he loses of a sprint, do you think they'll blame that again?
I don't know, man. Who knows if it's really true? I mean, he keeps losing by like a little bit. Who knows if that tiny, tiny, tiny bit of weight wasn't there, what would happen? I mean, Degenkolb's got to be kind of sad that he got pipped and then he couldn't pip someone else, but he just lost both times. I mean, who knows?
It's crazy. What was your
Yeah.
overall opinion so far of these bike cameras?
I'm starting to like it. It's slowly getting there. I mean, cameras, if it's good for some people who enjoy watching it. I can understand why people enjoy it. It's probably not my thing, but it can suit some people. I mean, I can watch it for like 10 seconds and I'll be like, oh, that's pretty cool, and then I'll get bored. So it might suit some people. I personally don't really like it that much, but it's only my opinion, really. So.
Okay, that's cool. But the thing is, the reason we really want to talk about the Amgen Tour of California is because there was a very interesting interview with Jens Vogt from Cycling News, and they were talking about that Jens Vogt didn't try at all in the Amgen Tour of California, and I actually think that baseball lovers should give the impression of this, because I think you're really good at doing the impression of that interview.
Okay, so basically, the cycling news guy goes, so, it's been kind of a quiet week for you at the Tour of California, that usually happen, you're usually attacking everywhere. He goes, quiet week? What the fuck? I sweat balls every day to get into break. The 50 guys been told either follow Jens, and then other 50 guys be told if Jens goes, don't let him go. And you tell me I have quiet week? What the fuck? What the fuck? Quiet week? What the fuck?
It's a very good interpretation. So that's the main reason we wanted the interview on here. So as you guys might know, this is the final season for Jens Vogt, and He deserves some love. The man is just the king of cycling. Everyone knows Jens Vogt for the man he is, and he's just a great man. What do you think about this initial response from him to you? Do you think it's appropriate, or do you think it's over the line?
Yeah. I think he did this simply because a lot of people don't watch the first bit of the race. You know, they never show the breakaways and how hard it is to get in the breakaways, and it's actually really hard to get in the breakaway. Believe it or not, there's a whole heap of guys trying to get in there, and only a couple of guys actually get into it. So, good work by Jens. I was expecting to see him make some moves, and I was surprised he wasn't in any breakaways, but Big Jens, I think he's done his time in the break and should sit up in the peloton more often.
He's a lovable guy. He's just so cool. Yeah, that was the main reason we want to talk about him. So, okay, so we just got done speaking about an American race. On to the tweet of the week, and it's featuring an American rider, which you guys should know who it is. It's the man who should not be named. It's Lance Armstrong. He was playing this new game that's really coming out. It's playing Cards Against Humanity. It's a new card game that's out that a lot of people enjoy playing online and also in real life. And it's Lance Armstrong's missing testicle playing Cards Against Humanity. And
Yeah.
what do you guys think about Armstrong making fun of him actually only having one testicle?
I don't think he was making fun of it. I think that's the joke. I think that was actually a card.
Yeah, I know it's an actual card, I know, but him, like, he has to have some integrity just making that joke. Like, just making that joke when you've gone through that process.
When you actually only do have one testicle.
Exactly. I mean,
it's kind of sad.
I can make that joke and nobody would care, but when he makes the joke, I mean, kind of feel bad for the guy, because imagine, like, you have two balls, and he has one, he's like...
He has one ball, yeah.
You'd feel kind of handicapped, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, the reason we picked that as tweet of the week is because that takes some serious balls, and that we know he only has one, so...
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, we wanted to say that Lance Armstrong can make fun about him beating cancer, and that more people should do that. Cancer is a bitch, and more people should just enjoy
beat it.
Just enjoy while you live it and you survived it, and just enjoy. That's the main reason, and PCM just stopped working as he crosses the line. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm just going to be stalking the stream so you guys can play, but... That was the tweet of the week, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one, because we really did. So far, I think that was the best tweet of the week out of all the ones we've done. What do you guys think?
Yep, it's every week. We find the best tweet ever every single week. You know, it gets better and better.
There's a lot of competition this week, I gotta say. It could have been anyone's game today, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because we had like 13 different tweets open or something like that for tweet of the week, but we picked this one because Lance Armstrong has serious balls. Okay, on to the next topic though, and I know you really want to talk about this one too, dude. It's about Orica Greenwich saying that they're going to sign a big GT contender. Who do you think they're going to sign, and why are they going to sign this guy?
Well, it's really wide open. Like, I've been throwing up names, and I've discussed with a few other guys, and like, who will they sign? Like, Matt White came out on a TV, I think it was on an interview on a TV show or something, a cycling show, and he said that they got someone signed up, or they're just going to announce in 2 weeks' time, and that person is supposed to be a GT contender. A couple of riders do come in mind. Someone like a Richie Port, Bradley Wiggins, maybe, because people forget about Matt White's been a sports director for a few teams already, and he's a director for Bradley Wiggins at Garmin, so that could possibly happen. I'm sure they're looking for a climber, someone that can climb. Who knows? It could be anyone. I mean, with the success they've had in the last couple of weeks or month, really, this year, it certainly looks like a more entertaining option for any big name riders to come. I think a lot of riders want to come Orica simply because of the success they've had. So, hoping for a big name. Could be anyone, really. Do you guys have anyone you guys think?
Richie Port. After seeing the backstage battle, or whatever it's called, the versus between Sky and Orica, it really seemed like Richie Port enjoyed being around those Orica guys. And I wouldn't mind seeing Richie Port on there. I mean, who do you think is going to go there, Baseball Lover?
I don't know. I mean, it obviously Port would be, I mean, as an Australian, probably the most probable option, but I mean, you look on that team, and they've definitely got some diverse guys too. Like they have guys that aren't Australian too. I hope it's not like an older guy. I hope it's a younger guy, and
could be Evans.
It could be Evans, which would not exactly be the best for them. Maybe a guy like, I'm just looking at the Giro Maybe a guy like Wout Poles could be. I don't really see them signing like a big time contender. I mean, I can see them signing a guy that's gonna fight for top tens, but I don't see them, signing Quintana. You know,
Hmm.
They're gonna sign like Alberto Contador. See, that'd be a joke. That'd be a good
Contador on Green Edge.
inside joke right there. Make that happen in MLC. Make that happen in MLC. If it hasn't already happened once, I think. Actually, it did happen once in Should Italia, I think, or it was Froome who was on there. But yeah, I guess we're gonna see that in the near future. According to UCI rules, you're not allowed to discuss transfers until like mid-August.
July 1st, I think.
July 1st? Okay, so technically, Matt White is not even supposed to say this. So, but we all know that UCI and ASO, they really like their rules and they always stick by them. That's always a theme in this week's rant. I mean, they're so
Yeah,
good
for
at
sure.
sticking by the rules. I mean, you should give them an award just for sticking by the rules. That's how
Exactly.
stupid they are. But another team that's also looking to buy riders, or potential team, because Fernando Alonso has been struggling to create a team for weeks and weeks and months. He's been saying,
Yes.
I want to build a team, and it looks to be finally coming together. He's been applying for a World Tour license next year, and he wants to take over either Cannondale or Giant, and he's been in contact with Ever Hagen, Christoph, and other people. Do you guys finally see this coming together?
Oh,
No.
it should happen with the name of Alonso. I mean, I think everyone wants to see it happen. He can't get a license himself. That's why maybe buying out a team like a Giant Shimano who's don't have a contract next year, and Cannondale is an option. So I hope it happens. It'll be for the better of the sport, really. So I'm sure they'll get some good riders on board if it does. So let's hope it does happen. Fingers crossed.
One thing that's not happening is Fabian Cancellara 1 hour record. Because recently, UCI modified their rules. Of course, they're gonna stick by the rules. They modified their rules so that you can now do the 1 hour record on a more modern bike. Previously, you had to ride on a standard bike for the 1 hour record, which was made in like 1980 or 1990, which is really dumb. And previously in this year, there was an American guy who went for the 1 hour record, and he had to ride one of these really shitty bikes. And he didn't make that 1 hour record, and now that these rules have been changed, Fabian Cancellara decided to pull out. What do you guys think about Cancellara's decision about pulling out of the 1 hour record? Is it a big decision, or does he really even care, honestly?
I don't
Who
really
cares?
think he really cares about it now. Like, if he really wanted to do it, he'd do it. But you know, he's probably got other things in mind. Like this year, it's going to be a big year for Cancellara. I think he's probably going to go for the world champs, maybe time trial, something like that. I mean, the big tour is coming up, so you expect him to be pretty busy. And something like an hour record is going to take him a long time to prepare for. He's going to take a solid like 2 months, 1 or 2 months just to prepare to be in that tip-top condition. I just don't see
Not
Cancellara
worth
having
it.
the time to do that. Yeah, it's not worth it really.
I think his main goal for the season, now that the classics are over, is the stage 5 of the Tour de France, the Ypres stage, which is the cobblestone stage. And if Cancellara could do well in the first 4 stages, he could take the yellow jersey from there on. And if he gets to the yellow jersey in stage 5, he could keep it for another 5 days, and it would be a repeat of one of the earlier editions where there also were cobblestones in there when he attacked in the yellow jersey and won the stage. And I think that's going to be his main goal. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it could well happen. That stage is pinpointed on my mind, and can't wait till that happens. Definitely will be interesting to see what happens with the GC contenders as well. And Cancellara could win it. I think Cancellara's definitely going to be right up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our final topic of this weekly rant, guys, is a big star. Jan Ullrich was in a car crash the other day, and there's a lot of rumor if was he on alcohol, was he on drugs, not drugs. Sorry, scratch that. Was he was he drinking beer before that? Did he do a DUI?
Yeah.
Meaning that was drinking on the intoxication. Did he not? First of all, he denied it. Then he went out the day after and said, "I'm sorry, I did do it." Then they said that he was driving 20 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. Then he denied it. The next day he went out and said, the next day he said, "I'm sorry, I did drive that." So Jan Ullrich really showing up with the superstar attitude, like I can do everything. And what do you think? How badly should this guy get punished? What do you think, Baseball Over?
Well, I think he should be punished just like anybody else who had a DUI is. I don't think anybody actually got that injured, which is a good thing, but he should still get, punished. I don't know what the laws are in, like, you know, Germany,
No
so.
clue either. No clue either.
Yeah. Like, Jan Ulrich always had that, like, living in the high life mentality, I think. Is the style he rode, even the way he had problems with drugs and addictions as well, I think, in later on in his career. Similar to Pantani. It's kind of sad to see him do things like that now, but that's past and gone. His cycling career is over, and he should enjoy life, I think. Let him do what he wants,
On that
really.
note, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this weekly rant. The big note today is go enjoy life, have fun, TheChudude's wise words. Thank you guys for being here. Go to Baseball
Don't drive
channel.
drunk.
Yeah, don't drive drunk and don't drive 20 kilometers over the speed limits. Not a good idea. And don't drive in the opposite lane. Go to watch TheChudude's channel as well. They both do quality content. Thank you for being on the weekly rant, and we'll see you guys next week.